Alright guys, so today we're going to take a look at an old PlayStation magazine. This is the official US PlayStation magazine, issue 81, this Need for Speed Underground 2 issue from, I believe it was June 2004. Let's just get into... Okay, so here's the contents page. Man, I used to love flipping through these magazines back in the day, and I thought this would just give you a little bit of nostalgia as well as we just take a look at one of these great old pieces of history. They're a relic now. We have the internet, right? Who needs magazines? Who needs paper? All this stuff sitting on a shelf, right? But you know, there's just something to be said about going back and looking at some of these great old pieces of history, and it's really interesting to see some of the things that they thought were important before a game launched or as a game was launching, their impressions of, whether something was going to be popular or was going to be a good seller, or whether they thought it was going to be a good game, and it may turn out to be something completely different in retrospect. So let's just take a little look here through. So contents in this issue, they're highlighting Need for Speed Underground 2, Resident Evil Outbreak, Onimusha 3 Demon Siege. There's a bunch of other games that they're going to look at here. Gran Turismo 4 is mentioned in here. There's a highlight on EA Sports for the 2005 season. Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. God of War. Driver. PsyOps. Some interesting stuff here, so let's take a look through and just see what we can find in this little gem from June 2004. Of course, with all of these magazines, you always had kind of the, they tried to make the writers and editors be like little celebrities that you would like follow them. You'd be all excited if Dana Zhonga Ward wrote an article, or Joe Rybicki or whatever. You'd follow these people. Of course, if you were a Nintendo fan or whatever, maybe you had your favorite author in Nintendo Power or something. But all these magazines back then, they tried to really highlight how cool these writers were. Like, they were the gamers you always wanted to be, right? So we're getting into our first, well, there was a couple of pages we missed here. There's a 2-page spread here for MLB 2005 from 989 Sports. Trust me, it didn't look that good. 2-page spread here for Rainbow Six 3. I never really played any of the Tom Clancy games back in the day, except I think a Splinter Cell game on the GameCube, if I remember correctly. I don't remember this Shell Shock NAM 67. I don't remember this at all. This totally flew under the radar. This is from Eidos, the same people that made Tomb Raider. And then we've got a 2-page spread here for Magic the Gathering. And then Spider-Man 2. This was actually a pretty decent game on the PS2. Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 were pretty darn good, and they still hold up pretty well today. I was actually playing this with cousin Mike just a couple of years ago, and honestly, I don't know what it is about Spider-Man, but I think it's just the idea of flinging through the city on the webs and stuff like that, just the 3D motion and stuff. It's always really impressive. All right, what do we got here? Try before you buy. So this would have come with a playable demo DVD. So this is showing you what came on the demo disc that was included in this magazine. Can you imagine buying a magazine and getting a bunch of playable stuff for free? Yeah, that's the way it was back in the day. So what was on here? There's a track for Gran Turismo, some videos, Transformers game, Alias from which was a TV tie-in game, PsyOps. Okay, so Alias, get into the TV show with this nicely sized demo featuring the voices and likenesses of the cast of the hit espionage series. Front Mission 4. Nintendo's actually remaking the Front Mission. Well, I guess it's not Nintendo, it's Square remaking the Front Mission series, and they're starting to release, I think 1 and 2 are coming out actually pretty soon. So if you're interested in Front Mission, you can either pick them up, you can pick up 4 on the PS2. But Future Tactics, it's another interesting tactics game. And then there was some videos for Driver, Gran Turismo 4, Onimusha, Samurai Warriors, Robota. I've never heard of it. You may have heard of this graphic novel. It's coming to game form in the next generation of consoles, and chances are it'll look an awful lot like this. Never heard of that. I don't know if that ever even came out. Here's a ad for Hitman Contracts. Never really got into the Hitman series. That's another one by Eidos. That's interesting because I guess it was recently sold. Square Enix used to own Eidos, and they were sold. So we may see some Hitman remakes coming out because they were bought by Embracer Group, the company that owns THQ Nordic, and they're really known for doing remakes and remasters and stuff of intellectual properties. They really like to, play on the nostalgia and stuff. So we may see a Hitman game coming back in the current generation. That's a nice piece of art for Transformers there. The ultimate conflict has begun. And then we got a third page on Transformers. Alright, what else have we got here? Oh, a Blockbuster ad. Yeah, Blockbuster was still a thing in 2004. When you think back at 2004, in your head, it doesn't seem that long ago, but that's coming up on 19 years ago now. Like, that's a whole lifetime for somebody who's, like, in first or second year of college. That's their whole lifetime. Like, for me, that seems like maybe it was 7 or 8 years ago, but it was literally almost 20 years ago. And so there's actually a clippable coupon here. I wonder if I could still cash this in. Rent one game, get one free. 2 games for the price of one. And you could rent a game for like $4 or $5. It was fantastic. Let me see here. Try these latest releases and get your thumbs throbbing. And they've got WarioWare on the GameCube. They've got Van Helsing on the Xbox. Shrek 2, Onimusha, Manhunt, Resident Evil, Transformers. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Man, do I miss Blockbuster. And just that whole idea of being able to go to a destination and browse for what you want and bring it home and play it. Like, I don't know, there was something special about that you can't duplicate with, a streaming service or something, just clicking through icons. It's just not the same. It's not an event anymore to choose a game. PsyOps is another game I never played, but I heard good things about it at the time. Apparently you've got some special powers, telekinesis, pyrokinesis, remote viewing, mind control. Sounds like a pretty cool game if it was executed properly. I don't know. But I should check it out at some point. Samurai Warriors. Man, dude, I love the Warriors franchise back in the day. I just absolutely loved these games. And I still do, to be honest, but I feel like they're getting to be a little played out. In 2005, playing something like this with like hundreds of enemies on screen and all these, combos and stuff like that, it was really, really impressive, to see tech in that day and age be able to pull that off. And in today's day and age, it's funny, systems like the Switch are still struggling with it. In games like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, there's performance issues and stuff, which goes to show you how impressive it is to get a game like Samurai Warriors running on the PS2 in 2004 or 5. Yes, I'm humming Indiana Jones, so sue me. Jak 3 and Ratchet & Clank Up Your Arsenal go head to head. So these two games were obviously releasing at this particular time. It says Naughty Dog. Let's take a little look at this article. This sounds interesting. Naughty Dog and Insomniac are at war. It's a friendly war, but it's a war nonetheless. Each studio is looking to outdo the other with the third installments in their blockbuster platforming franchises. Both are bringing new tricks to the table, trying to top their previous successes. They want to impress the hell out of you, but they want to impress each other too. We make the same type of games, we have nearly the same release schedule, and we have similar teams, Naughty Dog president and co-founder Jason Rubin tells us, so there's a natural competition. But we choose to compete on content, which we do not share, rather than the technology which we do share. The first volley takes the form of refinement. With Jak 3, Naughty Dog plans to dive deeper into the story of Jak and the world of the precursors, answering lingering questions about the history of the precursors and Jak's strange eco-based powers. So, it's interesting that even these companies, they knew that they were rivals, and now both Naughty Dog and Insomniac are not rivals anymore because they're owned by Sony. So they're allies now, but it's fun to look back to a time when things were different. And, these games were revolutionary back in the day. Here we go, Star Wars Battlefront. So I absolutely loved this game back in the day, and looking at this artwork now, it's pretty pixelated. This is an actual screenshot from the game, and it looks pretty rough. And that, it is true, a lot of PS2 games don't hold up as well as you remember them holding up. They're still fantastic games, but I remember, I was playing, what was it? It was a Medal of Honor game, I think, and it was just it was so dark and dingy and pixelated that I don't even know how I could play it. I mean, I was playing it on a tube TV. I was doing myself all the favors I could, and it was just virtually unplayable, in my opinion. Battlefront is not that bad, but let's get moving here. Let's look. So here are some of the games that were releasing in the summer of 2004. So we've got Battlefront Modern Combat, Ace Combat 5. Now that's a great series, and those games really hold up well. I guess just the idea of, being in flight. I've always liked flight simulator games. I'm playing Ace Combat 7 on Steam right now, but Ace Combat 5 holds up pretty good, visually speaking, and the controls too. They're actually pretty good games. What do we got here? Driver 3, Red Dead Revolver. Precursor to Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar Games. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was actually a pretty darn good game for a licensed kids game. Alright, here we go. Metal Gear Solid 3, Dissecting Snake. We poke a stick at Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. The focus of the latest Metal Gear is on being elusive, so the screenshot we have here is pretty unusual because you can actually see the game's hero in it. Kojima and his team have taken the game's themes to heart throughout the development process and are similarly elusive when it comes to providing specifics about the game's story and structure. A recent demo brought some details to light, though, and further reinforced the importance of lurking in the shadows and jumping out to shout boo at the bad guys. Death to the PSP. Interesting. Here's an interesting. The future looks grim for Sony's handheld. Grim Reaper, that is. Haha! During Sony's press conference at this year's Game Developers Conference, representatives from Backbone Entertainment had the distinction of giving the first public showing of a PSP game, Death Jr. As you might suspect from the title, the game follows the adventures of Death's offspring in an almost Tim Burton and Day of the Dead inspired setting. I actually remember this game, and it was pretty good, and I think I played the Death Jr. games on the Wii as well, and really enjoyed those. Funny, this is near the launch of the PSP, and they say death to the PSP. The interesting clickbait. We always get on YouTubers' cases for clickbait, but this is ultimate clickbait. The future looks grim for Sony's handheld, like the year it released. That's funny, just to get you to read about a video game review. Well, let's just kind of flip through this a little bit more rapid fire. See what else we've got here. A little deeper dive on PsyOps. I should look into this game because it seems interesting that I've never played it. From Japan, here's some Japanese games that are being highlighted. Xenosaga Episode 2, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, which is a fantastic game that I'm playing, or have been playing on the Switch and absolutely love. Alright, what do we got here? Splinter Cell Pandora Tomorrow. I think this is one of the ones I played. I actually really did like the Splinter Cell games. They were fantastic. Okay, we got 30 minutes with Monster Hunter. It's like Phantasy Star Online, only better. So this is what, at the beginning of the Monster Hunter franchise, is it? I don't know. I don't have time to read through this all at the moment, but if you are curious about it, I can always send you a screenshot of the page if you message me or something. So, alright. Going underground again. Okay, this is the big feature here. This is Need for Speed Underground 2. Some pictures of the producers and developers and stuff in the game. Some car models. Quite nicely done, actually. Some nice, you see, this is a Honda S2000. This is a Nissan 350Z. And both these cars were pretty new cars back in the day. We've even got Honda, no, it's not a Honda Civic. Peugeot 206 GTI. Almost looks like an older Honda Civic. What's this, an RX-7? Yeah, that's an RX-7 with a body kit and stuff on it. These games were really fantastic back in the day, and a lot of times racing games hold up a lot longer than they maybe really should. There's something about the graphics in racing games that really hold up, and the underground games on whatever platform you play them on just continue to hold up. Even to this day, they look pretty good. Here's a review on La Pucelle Tactics, which is a pretty obscure game that a lot of people think is pretty good, but it really didn't go over well. I wonder if it's because they didn't pay for a full page spread in the magazine. Got some more stuff on Hitman here. Alias is something I'm interested in. I do own the game and I've never played it, but I enjoyed the TV show. I sometimes like these more ambitious TV tie-ins, so it's something I might want to check out at some point. Some more information on Samurai Warriors. There's a 2-page spread on Transformers. The Transformers game was pretty good. Siphon Filter, the Omega Strain. I never played this particular one, but I played Siphon Filter 1 and 2 on the PS1 back in the day, and they were great games. Onimusha 3, good games. Serious Sam. DVD review of Lord of the Rings Return of the King. It's interesting in a gaming magazine. We're getting towards the end here. Bond 007, Everything or Nothing. Some SOCOM stuff, some more Rainbow Six. We're pretty much at the end of the magazine here. I'll just kind of flip through. Okay, so here we have Final Fantasy XI. This was the one that was online only, and they provided some maps and stuff here. So you'd buy the disc on PlayStation, but in order to play it, you had to have the online broadband adapter or whatever with your PS2, because the game was basically an online MMO. So they're saying after a month of Final Fantasy XI strategy, another starting town, another selection of maps, and another collection of profitable entry-level quests, this month we feature Sandoria, home to Hadi Elban. Happy adventuring. So it's like a guide to a new area in Final Fantasy XI. Interesting. An MVP 2004. And that pretty much brings us to the end. Now you can see that this is a Canadian variant of the magazine because we have an EB Games ad in here, which would have been GameStop in the States. Sadly, our EB Games is gone now too. It switched over to GameStop just last year, actually. But it's nice to see something like that. And I'll always treasure my memories of shopping at EB Games in the early 2000s, in that PS1 and PS2 era. Some of the games that I bought there will live on in my memory for absolutely ever. Games like Parasite Eve and Final Fantasy VII, and games like that I bought at my EB Games in my hometown. I will treasure those memories forever. Anyways, guys, that was a pretty deep dive into the official PlayStation magazine for June 2004. If you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, please hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment down below about what your favorite part was and maybe what you'd like to see in the next deep dive. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Stay classy.